iRacing.com is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all over the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics and engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. iRacing's web-based interface allows members to compare stats and test drive any combination of car and track instantly. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 60,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsport organizations like SRO Motorsports Group to deliver virtual races based on the real-life Blancpain GT series. iRacing's Blancpain Endurance Series features team racing, giving members the ability to build a team and participate in races ranging from 3 hours to 24 hours. Additional partners include NASCAR, IMSA, V8 Supercars, IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own 24 hours of Spa, Bathurst 1000, Daytona 500, and many more. iRacing.com, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to V8 Online's coverage of Monday night Strength of Field V8 Supercar racing. We're here at the Road Atlanta full course once again. Last night in the V8 Scops race, we saw this circuit turn on an absolute cracker of a race coming down to the final lap. Tonight, it's going to be 29 laps, and in cool weather, we're expecting to see some of the quickest lap times we've seen all weekend, including Scops. Alongside me in the commentary booth is the man who called that race. It's Jay Kennedy.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Bo. Yeah, it's going to be a very, very fun night tonight. Looking forward to seeing how this one plays out. Marlon McMullen currently quickest. We saw him finish 6th in the V8 Scops main race yesterday, but we've got quite a few drivers out on track that didn't make the race yesterday or had issues in the race. And just seen Dane Warren go to the top of the timesheet. On screen, Brad Ryan. He actually did the race for the grid on Saturday night. Then his teammate Kane Kugamea had to pull out at the last minute, so that car was unable to field their run in the end. So this is Brad's chance to put all that practice to work as he crosses the line. Another driver as well who had issues was Corey Preston as well. They had issues with the registration of their car, and Riley Blythe didn't even get to do a lap before his car was blown up, and he's just gone to third. So it's going to be very, very close, and a lot of drivers looking for redemption tonight.
Yeah, there are, and this is their second chance, and in much different conditions too. So it's not going to be exactly like it was, but who doesn't love a bit more extra grip on the track? But for Cam Dance, he kind of needs even more grip because he's really struggling out there as he goes massively sideways to the final corner. Yeah, that lap was already ruined after a trip into the gravel, but Cameron Dance really struggling for lap times out there, but I think he's having a bit of fun now.
Yeah, I think he knows he's already ruined his second lap, so he might just turn it into a bit of an expression session. We've got 27 drivers in the field tonight, and all the drivers that have put in qualifying laps, 2.5 seconds separate the field, but we've got 2 seconds separating second to 26th. With that time of Dane Warren, that's impressive. Very, very quick time.
That is just frankly dangerous for the other drivers. Dane Warren at the moment in a league of his own. Marlon McMullen did have a bit of an issue on his second qualifying lap, so there could be more pace yet to come from Marlon, but we'd have to hope so because 0.6 of a second is a tough margin around Road Atlanta.
Just watching Kazuki Umeshima at the moment. So about to finish his second lap, actually going to pull into the pits and use a bit of pit entry practice. And this pit entry is very, very tough. We saw in the race for the grid race, qualifying, and also the main race, as well as the EMR Super Cup yesterday, that pit lane will cause some chaos throughout tonight's race because it is very, very tough to get in, especially when you want to try and do it as quick as you can. Like you want to try and gain a second or not lose too many tenths of a second through that entry. So we'll see full commitment coming into the pits throughout this race.
And that's one thing, like the really experienced drivers who have done this for many, many years, that's something they will know. Because on the racetrack, you're always searching for those extra tenths wherever you can find it, a tenth here, a tenth there, wherever you can. But in the pit lane, if you don't practice it and you're on that pit speed limit at 60 kilometers an hour early, you know, you're costing yourself seconds there. So expect the pit lane with that really tight entry to potentially throw some mixed pit lane delta times with drivers who have practice and those that haven't.
Looks like all the drivers have finished their 2 qualifying laps. So what we might do, we'll quickly run through the grid before checkered flag comes out and the drivers get ready to take the grid. Dane Warren, as we said, will start from pole. 0.6 of a second in the end over Marlon McMullen's. Third place is Riley Blythe. Not too far behind him is Corey Preston. Those two looking for a bit of redemption from unfortunate issues yesterday where they didn't even get to take to the grid. Kurt Stenberg in 5th position, other driver that had a blown engine yesterday. Brad Ryan in 6th. All of our 6 drivers, except for Marlon, our top 6, all had issues at some point yesterday. Marlon ended up finishing 6th in the main race yesterday. 7th position is Kazuki Umeshima, Martin Carroll in 8th, Zach Baker 9th, and Thomas Hinz in 10th position.
In the number 6 car is going to be Michael Taliancic, and he's going to roll off in P number 11 with Cooper Webster sharing the row of the grid alongside him. Jamie McKnight and Daniel Trim are 13th and 14th, with Craig Jones rounding out the top 15, with Brett Loxton, Mario Vlasic, Aberfandi Putra in P number 18, Daniel Williams in 19th, and Fiddies, Oliver, Hendrickson, Jensen, Mayoja, Sola, and Bateman finishing off your qualifying times, with Cam Dance finishing his expression session, and he'll be starting off 27th.
Looking forward to seeing how this race all plays out. It's going to be very, very tight. Drivers are going to be running at full commitment throughout this entire race. First sprint race for most of these guys over this weekend. A few guys that didn't take to the race to the grid, or race for the grid, I should say, last on Saturday night, and of course leading up to the V8 Scops race last night. Now, of course, there will be a pit stop required in this race as well. We'll see a pit window open around about lap 15 or so. We saw yesterday almost a full tank of fuel. Cars are doing about 29 laps. Sorry, that was a shortened tank for 29 laps. So probably about 18 or so laps is the max tank of fuel. So anytime after lap 10 or 11, we'll see drivers take to the pit lane. It looks like almost everyone is on the grid, as we are pretty much ready to go.
Yep, just waiting for the red lights to come on and get these 27 V8 Supercars underway here at Road Atlanta. One pit stop, 29 laps, and the clock is ticking down with just 5 seconds to go until that all-important green flag drops. Cars on the grid, and the green flag in the air, and it's a great start from Marlon McMullen, and he's got the jump on Dane Warren, but can he get the job done into turn 1? It looks like a clean start for most, not too chaotic, but how will they go as they turn into the ultra-fast right-hander at turn 1? So far, all good, and everyone looks like they've got through cleanly. A bit of a wiggle for Kazuki Umeshima, but he's got through cleanly as we now head into the very hard turn number 2. Cars wiggling on the brakes, including Corey Preston. But looks like so far we're all okay, Jay.
Yeah, nice and clean pretty much the whole way through the field. Everyone's made it through the first section of the track fairly unscathed. They've got a couple of cars back in the field having to take to the grasses. It's still too wide. Oh, contact around goes Cooper Webster. Craig Jones and Gene Fiddies both made contact with him quite heavily too. Looks like it just got a bit shuffled while they were 2 by 2. And Craig Jones looks like he's the worst out of that.
Yeah, Craig Jones with no hood on that Falcon, so big damage to the Pagnian car on just the first lap. So we have seen in Scops yesterday a lot of engine troubles, but he won't be suffering with overheating tonight as he's in the slipstream now of the car ahead of him, but he's not going to be making much progress with that aero damage.
We'll get a quick Cup Price Racing replay before we get back to live action. See, there was contact between Vlasic and Webster. Don't think Webster realised that Vlasic was going to go up the inside there and send it, but we go back live. First, second, third, very close. Dane Warren having some internet issues, but Riley Blythe and Marlon McMullen have stuck with him.
Yeah, they have, but Warren is having some huge internet issues right now, and as we're heading into the turn 10 complex, the chicane, he dropped out for a good 10-15 seconds without returning, so
he's done it again now.
Potentially in front, but for how much longer? This is very distracting for McMullen, and perhaps he's keeping it a bit calm at the moment, which is why Blythe is sticking with him.
Oh, Blythe's actually, McMullen's actually got ahead of Warren, so when Warren did reappear, he was behind McMullen.
Oh, they're almost inside each other at this point. This is horrible. We have to hope there is no netcode involved in this, as Warren there knows he has internet issues, and being the sportsman that he is, a true gentleman of the sport, gets out of the way and lets the others get on with it. So kudos to him for that. So Marlon McMullen will take the race lead with Riley Blythe in hot pursuit, and in a different car from what he was in yesterday, Corey Preston will take over P number 3, and he's quickly ranging onto the back of Blythe now.
Yep, so we saw McMullen, they finished 6th yesterday, did a very, very good job. Riley Blythe didn't even get to do a lap. Corey Preston didn't get to do a lap. Kurt Stenberg blew an engine. And then you got Martin Carroll, he did a great job. They finished 10th yesterday, but these top 3 have checked out now from Stedberg, Carroll and Umeshima. They're a little bit further behind as Corey Preston just did the fastest lap of the race, and he's caught up to Blythe quite quickly.
Oh, I've just noticed there's actually been a huge crash on that previous lap involving Craig Jones, whose days got just a little bit worse, and he was involved in a crash with Tim Hendrickson Just a big wiggle coming out of turn number 5 for Jones, and almost got the car saved, but in recovering the car, unfortunately right into the path of a 3 car.
Let's get a quick cut price racing replay. Probably had a little bit of steering damage from that hit before, and doesn't take too much in these cars for the car to just be a little bit unsettled, and nasty hit for Hendrickson. Had nowhere to go, so unfortunate for both those guys. Jones still pushing on. Hendrickson's gone into the pits, get some damage fixed, and got back out there. As we have a look at Kazuki Umeshima, he's tucked right in behind Martin Carroll at the moment, applying a lot of pressure.
Yeah, it must be pretty scary for Martin Carroll to have a guy like Kazuki Umeshima behind him. But right now doing a fantastic job to hold him off, and Carroll running in the top 5 at the moment. And he's in that battle pack with Kurt Stenberg just in front as well, so plenty of opportunities for Carroll if he can keep his cool. But right now Umeshima so late on the brakes into turn 1, almost too late, running a bit wide on the exit. Of course, Umeshima a regular in the Formula 1, a bit less downforce than he'd be used to in these cars, but nonetheless still looking very quick right now.
He's doing a very, very good job, very composed. It's very tough to get a good handle on these cars, so he's doing a very, very good job getting up to speed pretty quick. When you've got enough talent as he does, it's probably a bit easier than it would be for mere mortals like myself, and I'll put you in that category even though you're pretty alright.
Thrown under the bus.
Oh, it's alright, I saw you at Bathurst.
Oh.
Did I have to bring that up? Sorry,
shot.
Sorry bro.
What happens on the mountain stays on the mountain. That's my thoughts.
Umeshima's actually might be close enough to go up the inside. Now, the only thing with going up the inside here, not necessarily will work. He can actually go around the outside and get a move done. He's gone very deep under brakes. Oh, perfect slide. He might actually get this done. He's missed the apex of the second part of the chicane. And Carroll's going to come back, make it side by side. Umeshima will cover off. Probably not as clean as Umeshima would have liked to have made that pass, but he got it done. As they're just hearing a car in the wall, we've got Dane Warren. He's out of the race. He's actually made contact with another car or with the wall, not quite sure. Try and pick up what's happened with Warren as he was working his way back up through the field.
Yep, so he's gone around the outside of the chicane of the 20 car, who I'll just try and get a name for. That's Daniel
Trim, yeah.
And just got onto the grass on the exit. A bit of a shove there from Trim, but onto the grass. And these cars, when they get on the grass, they like to flick around pretty quick on you. And unfortunately for Dane, that's his night done from what was a pole position to a race lead that went south pretty quickly, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't think Dane will be wanting to see Road Atlanta on any schedules coming up soon, because he has not had a great weekend. We're seeing that pack behind Zach Baker. We've got Thomas Hinds in his new Proforce Racing livery. We've got Michael Taliancic 8th and then Baker in 7th. Quite close at the moment. Taliancic almost thought about throwing it up the inside at a very late stage. The second part of braking, decided to pull out of it.
Yeah, these guys are certainly brave on the brakes tonight. Much cooler conditions than we saw in Scops. There is even more grip. And the car is running at slightly more optimal conditions, so these guys are getting very brave with it at times. And we've got some nice trains happening with this weather too, so we've got some fantastic stuff happening out there.
We love a good train.
Choo-choo,
yep.
Always good. But for now, it is the top, well, it was for the top 3. It was the top 3 for just a little bit who were in a train, but since then Mark McMullen has done a fantastic job to break away quite quickly from Blythe, who is coming under increasing pressure from Preston. And Preston looking quite racy right now, who yesterday was in the Pleb Sim Sport car, back in his usual colours now, but looking just as quick.
Yeah, he's looking quite racy, looking for redemption after not even getting a lap in the race yesterday at all. So I was just seeing cars facing the wrong way. Mario Vlasic and possibly
one of the SSR cars, I think.
Yeah,
that was,
Dave Oliver.
22.
Try and get another replay and see if we can pick up what's happened in the chute. Back of the course.
Oh, that was That was a messy one involving 3 cars. I'll try and get the other one for you.
Yeah, the 18 of Daniel Williams, and then Williams is corrected after some netcode contact. There was actually a fair bit of gap between Vlasic and Williams, and as Williams has gone to collect it, Dave Oliver's just slammed right into Williams. Oh, big hit.
And there is some pretty substantial damage on that 22 car of Dave Oliver. Went for the brakes at turn 10 or missed his brake marker or something, and at 200 kilometers an hour has flown through the chicane and drove it straight into the pit. So for Dave Oliver, unfortunately, wasn't involved in that crash starting off, but unfortunately got some of the worst of it.
On board with Riley Blythe, looking back at Corey Preston, applying a bit of pressure at the moment. It was awesome to see yesterday this track in this car. Outside and inside moves both worked at this chicane. So I think if you're blocking the inside or defending on the inside using the alternate line, guys are just going around the outside, rounding them up around the outside and getting it done under the bridge. So got to be really careful how you defend going into that chicane if you're under pressure.
Yeah, it's one of those corners where defending isn't really much of an option, because like you said, you can defend to the inside, but they can just fly around the outside of you. So it's one of those corners that as a driver you hate to defend, but as a commentator it's one of the best corners to watch or as a spectator, because there's just so many opportunities for drivers to make things happen. So produces some fantastic overtakes from time to time.
Yeah, we saw some pretty impressive ones in everything yesterday, and we've seen some big passing moves done at that corner in this car over the last 6 years. We've been bringing coverage of races here at V8's Online. It's been 6 years. Next month, our birthday coming up. Bo, I hope you brought me a present.
Yes, I sure did.
Yep.
I hope you like cakes with a Fonzie in it. But other than that, you're on your own, mate.
Yeah, okay. I thought as much. Preston might be close enough to get a move done here.
Blythe covering to the inside. We'll see how brave Corey is willing to get. Riley definitely feeling brave on the pedal, on the middle pedal, as he also slides it at the exit. So he was a MotoGP bike on the way in, and it was Mad Mike in his MX-5 on the way out. So Blythe really struggling with the balance of that ERT Falcon right now, and even out of that very, very fast right-hander of turn 12, you could actually see Corey just closing in bit by bit. Corey missing the apex of turn 1 just a little bit, but that JMSR Falcon looking pretty ominous right now.
Yeah, I think Preston's really keen to get this move done, because you can see Preston starting to pull away out in front. And that gap's out to 2 seconds now between Preston and Blythe. McMullen and Blythe.
Yeah, McMullen has got some fantastic pace. In that last lap, he was 80 seconds and 3/10, if I want to make things confusing. And Riley Blythe was 3/10 slower than that. And Preston was actually 1/10 away from McMullen. So he's shown he does have the pace to stay with McMullen. But right now there is a purple Falcon in his way. But in the slipstream down this 1 kilometer back straight, he's got his best opportunity yet. He's the closest he's been yet. Blythe defending to the inside. Preston is going to be stuck around the outside. And Preston so late on the brakes, but not quite late enough. But Blythe has compromised his exit slightly. So here comes Preston. And that Falcon of Riley Blythe has just absolutely blocked Preston to hold onto his position. Fair game out of there, but Preston must be getting pretty hot under the collar now.
I would say Preston will be in at the first possible opportunity that he has to pit to try and undercut over Riley Blythe here. I don't think we'll see Preston out longer than we see Blythe, especially with this weather conditions as well being so optimal. I don't think we'll see guys try and go too long before they make this fuel stop.
Just having a bit of a look further down your field, and the battle for P13 and further back is one heck of a train at the moment, as we have multiple cars involved in that, all the way down to 18th place. So 5 cars all fighting it out for the lower positions, but by no means having any less hard racing.
Yeah, so we've got Putra, Loxton, Jansen, Bateman, Dance and Webster There's Cameron Dance, plus 10 spots. Braden Bateman, plus 10 spots. They've made their way up and just avoided the accidents that have happened around them. And somehow made their way through. Back up the front, Preston having a look on Blythe once again. Trying around the outside, Blythe defending. Oh, Preston thought was going to go around the outside there at the exit of the corner. Good idea to tuck back into line.
Almost bump drafting through that final corner, and he's got a good run, so will we see a dive into turn 1? No, he won't. Stays in line, but that was a fantastic run from Preston out of that chicane, and that might be one of the tricks in his arsenal for this battle against Riley Blythe, as we've actually got a bit of traffic as Mullen just gets past that driver there. So still all good for the driver out in front, and things beginning to look very good.
Umashima. Yeah, Umashima's run off the track, and through goes Carroll, through goes Baker, and Taliancic not quite able to get through. So Kazuki Umashima has given up 2 spots to Martin Carroll, Zach Baker. And Kazuki Umashima now has a lot of pressure from Michael Taliancic behind.
Yeah, so Umashima just before was in quite a nice bit of clean air all by himself, but now all of a sudden he's found his way into he's the absolute meat in the sandwich of this battle. He has 2 cars right in front of him, 2 cars directly behind him, and he's in for a heck of a battle with some very talented drivers. So Umashima, what was looking so promising in 5th place for him, has all gone a bit downhill now, as he's now under attack into the chicane, and so late on the brakes is the 6th car of Taliancic, and still has the nose in there as Umashima running a bit wide, but it's going to be a drag race, and it is all going to be Taliancic on the exit, and that was fantastic traction there from that car, but also Zach Baker and Martin Carroll were having a bit of a ding-dong battle as well.
Yeah, so Baker's actually got through on Carroll. Thomas Hinz is in the lane, and Brad Ryan's caught up to the back of this train while these guys have been fighting too.
Gloves are all coming off in this battle at the moment, which is fantastic to see, and out in front is Zach Baker, but Martin Carroll through turn 1 and these S's is already beginning to look pretty ominous to get past, perhaps lining up a move into turn 10, but a very good exit there for Baker, so he's going to be safe for the next few corners, but he's got a very large train of 5 very quick cars behind him, including Brad Ryan, like you said.
It's going to be an interesting battle. I'm just seeing Baker's just missed the apex completely. So down the back straight here, Carroll's got a big advantage. Maybe close enough, I think.
Yeah, it looks that way. If there's one corner at Road Atlanta you don't want to stuff up, it is that turn number 7. As you can see now, Carroll pulling out of the slipstream. There's also Brad Ryan pulling out of the slipstream just behind as well. But for Carroll and that's going to be Baker. They're going side by side through the chicane. Can Carroll get the exit? Yes, he can. Fantastic work. And Taliancic wants a piece as well. Won't quite get the overlap on Baker there, but a very good move there from Carroll, who moves up +1 spot, as does Brad Ryan ahead of Kazuki Umashima. And now it's going to be up to Taliancic to get past Baker, who now goes wide at turn 1. So that opens the door into turn number 3 for Taliancic if he's feeling brave, but plays the smart move. And just falls back in the line.
What a great battle these guys are having. Just noticing on the time. Yeah, I was just about to say Preston's dropped some time. The start of this lap by the looks.
Oh, big moment out of turn 3. Bounced it over the curbs quite hard and managed to light the rear tyres up, and that sent him to the grass through turn 4. And it didn't hit any walls or anything, but he's lost a lot of time since then. And he actually has now Kurt Stenberg to worry about in his rearview mirror.
Did a good job not to fling that into that outside wall through 4. So well done to Preston for not doing that. As we go to Brad Ryan, who's just got past Kazuki Umashima. See if we can get that move from Brad. Under brakes at the chicane, because we were watching on that front battle. We missed the pass that Brad Ryan made. He just a classic switchback at the chicane, and moved done by Brad Ryan up into 8th position. Now 7th, because Riley Blythe is now in the pits.
As is Umashima, so some of our front runners really beginning to dive into the pits and play the strategy card. And this is just about before the halfway point, so this is when the undercuts will be taking place, and Umashima getting passed by Ryan just a few laps before. He's in a very good position to gain a lot of spots if he can pull this off.
I'm surprised that Blythe has come in ahead of Preston. I would have thought Preston would have come in a lap earlier, so I'm a little bit surprised by Preston not pitting then or a lap earlier, so a bit strange, but obviously thinking completely different strategy. Get some clear track now and punch out some good lap times. As we go back to that other pack, we've got Brad Ryan side by side with Zach Baker and Michael Taliancic bump drafting down the back straight.
Pulls out at the last second to leave the driver of Zach Baker to fight his own battles as he does through the chicane. Almost cuts the nose off the TTL car and gets a big wiggle out of the final chicane.
Oh!
And that's just going to allow the TTL driver right through as an even larger wiggle there through the fast right-hander. And they all managed to get it sorted, but that was sketchy at points.
Preston and McMullen both in the lane while we were watching these guys fight. Good battle.
Yeah, these guys, they may not be fighting for a podium or anything like that, but they're still fighting so intense against one another, and we've seen a lot of good passes from these three drivers so far in this race already, and we're not quite at the halfway point just yet. Actually, we're just at the halfway point now, so it'll be interesting to see how the second half of this race goes, as Taliancic so late on the brakes, almost into the back of Baker there. That definitely would have been a bit of a worry for Baker. In his rearview mirror as he lights the rear tyres out of turn 7 again, so that Falcon is not having a great time at that turn number 7, and Taliancic is going to be all over him into the chicane now.
Interesting that Blythe has got about 2.5 seconds on Preston as well after that pit stop, so here comes Taliancic. He'll go around the outside. If you can stay committed on the outside, you can get it done. Not quite able to. Big moment for Baker, though. I didn't know if he was going to pull that up. Maybe that's why Taliancic didn't go ultra committed, and Taliancic is going to go around for another lap as Martin Carroll, Zach Baker both come in. So at the moment, it's Stenberg leading from Ryan and Taliancic. Without, not pitting yet, obviously, but Cameron Dance has made his way from last to 6th.
Yeah, Cameron's doing a fantastic job at the moment. In that TTL car, of course, had a bit of a bottle job of qualifying, unfortunately for him, and started right at the back and off sequence at the moment, running in P number 6 with only minor damage to the rear of that car. He's managed to keep his nose clean, and he's doing a fantastic job of that race at the moment.
Thomas Hintu, we saw the first to jump in the lane. He got out of that big messy battle pack. He's come out ahead of Umashima. He's coming out ahead of Baker. He's coming out ahead of Carroll. So that early ploy... Oh, contact between Umashima and Carroll's in the fence. Wow, that was a big door-to-door contact between Umashima and Carroll.
Oh, that was a big hit. So the 14 car's gone into the wall very heavily there, just as he was exiting pit road. A very awkward pit exit, as it is almost on the racing line, but Umashima probably just trying to squeeze him out a little bit to put him off and get him to back out into turn 3, but unfortunately the two came together, and that 14 car has taken a huge hit to the front end, so wouldn't be surprised if unfortunately he's going to have to bring that back into the pit garage. As we have Brad Ryan now diving into the pits, as well as Kurt Stenberg. So first and third have come into the pits, and Taliancic will now take that race lead, and Cameron Dance making the most of it at the moment. He's going to jump into P number 2. So Cameron moving up the field as McMullen will be the effective race leader once all the pit stops have played out. Riley Blythe has made a little bit of ground since the pit stops, but not quite enough to stay in contention for the win. But at the moment, Taliancic will be expected in this lap, and we'll see if he can make any ground on that massive battle pack he was in just before the stops.
Gap between Stenberg and Preston is about the same as what it was before that round of stops too. So Preston didn't really make or lose any ground, I don't think, pitting at the time that he did. Zumashima and Hinz still go at it.
Through the ever crucial turn number 7 to see if you can set up a move so far down this straight into turn number 10. But it looks like a pretty good move there from Thomas Hinz in his Proforce Racing colours. Looking very, very good there. A very nice looking livery on that car, but unfortunately for him, the Steel Series car of Kazuki Umeshima has so much more overspeed in the draft, so late on the brakes, maximum commitment from Kazuki Umeshima. And Thomas Hinz, I'm sorry mate, but there was nothing you could do about that one. That was a fantastic move from Kazuki.
That was just incoming and prepare to be passed. It's possibly new tyre advantage. We've seen Hinz in 6 laps ago and Umeshima in 4 laps ago, so possibly a little bit of tyre coming in. And have a look at where Taliancic is coming out, right behind this pack.
He sure has, but more importantly, look at the 2 cars just behind him. So Taliancic has made that overcut actually work for him. We thought the undercut might be quite powerful, but he's actually managed to jump those 2 cars behind him. So that's a good pit stop cycle for Michael Taliancic.
Braden Bateman, Steve Jansen and Putra on screen at the moment. These guys have come out 13th, 14th and 15th and all come out together. Go back to Brad Ryan. Bit of an overlap here on Zach Baker. Down the back straight.
Bit of ducking and weaving down the straight as Ryan manages to finally get his way to the inside and will go up the inside if he can, but the 16 car managing to hold it on the outside, and Brad Ryan trying to get the crisscross and manages to get it work. And a very nice move there from Brad Ryan. Managed to get the traction from that TTL Falcon just about perfect. And it looked like he might have not been able to get that spot away from Baker, but in the end, that was all one on traction for him.
Thomas Hinz has got right back on the tail of Kazuki Umeshima as well, so that battle is resuming once more. Just seeing a bit of jostling for position between Brett Loxton and Cameron Dance. 11th and 12th.
These two are both managed to move their way up the field quite a fair bit, with Loxton up 5 spots and Cam Dance up 15 at the moment. So these two have a much better race pace than they showed in qualifying and have managed to find their way on track with Cam Dance out in front. But he has to be very careful of Brett Loxton, who's going to be in the slipstream out of turn number 7. So we'll see if anything happens between these two. A bit of aero damage on that Falcon of Cam Dance, but he managed to get the exit quite nicely. So depending on the straight line speed that Brett Loxton has in that Commodore, Cam Dance might have been able to save himself for one more lap. Or maybe I've spoken too soon, as that is huge overspeed from Loxton, and he has just pulled out the last second, late on the brakes like a MotoGP bike. He might have overcooked it just a little bit. He's going to overcook it, and Cam Dance with the crisscross on the exit. Can he do the same as his teammate Brad Ryan? Not quite enough. And Brett Loxton on the rear brakes like a MotoGP bike manages to get that move done. So fantastic move from Loxton there. But Cam Dance immediately looking pretty racy once again, right on the back of that.
Something's happened to Umeshima. Umeshima off the track, sorry. Bo just saw Umeshima drop down the timesheet, so he's run off the track. See if we can pick up what's happened to him.
Oh, that was a huge moment on the rear brakes. I think he might have just got a rear wheel onto the grass, and he's gone for all kinds of drifts.
Oh, yeah, big moment for him. Managed to regather it, not lose too much time, but Taliancic and Brad Ryan, they're very, very tight. Side by side. Oh, contact.
That is not the place you want to be banging doors, but Brad Ryan keeps his nose in it into turn 1, not the usual overtaking spot, but he's got the car alongside. The two getting very close once again. Talyancic going to hold onto the position, but how about the car just behind Zach Baker having a bit of a look at the back of Thomas Hinz as them two are going at it too. So the Waxer car under a bit of pressure from Baker, as well as Talyancic under a lot of pressure from Ryan. So we've got two different battles in the space of one single camera shot, which is fantastic to see, as Brad Ryan with a fantastic run out of turn number 5 has the run on Talyancic and dives to the inside. If Talyancic is playing the strategy card, he can back out of this right now and get the run out of turn number 7, but instead he's going to fight it and make it a drag race down this long straight. Neither of them have slipstream, so this is just going to be a battle of pure horsepower. And look at Thomas Hinz as well. He's done a great opportunity to potentially make this 3 wide if he's feeling dangerous.
Do it, do it. I don't think he will. He'll back out of it, but very good if we see it. Brad Ryan very late on the brakes, chops the nose off Talyancic. Good move. And Ryan now threw up into 5th position, just ahead of these guys. Have a look at how close Stenberg and Preston are now too. This is for the last spot on the podium.
Yeah, this has closed up a bunch, and it's the Rising Star versus the JMSR driver, so it's Ford versus Holden. Pick your side, whichever you want, but there should be a great battle between two very quick drivers who really stepped up their game at Scops on the weekend. Stenberg with a fantastic qualifying effort to put that car in pre-qualifying right up the front, and also for Corey Preston in the Pleb Simsport car doing another fantastic job to get that car, I think the highest a Pleb Simsport car could ever be possibly imagined to be on the grid. But unfortunately for him, that white Apex Rising Star car is right behind and looking pretty dangerous as we head towards turn number 10.
Yeah, might be close enough to get a move done here, is Stenny. You're right, both Stenny and Corey did great jobs in qualifying, but not quite able to finish the job off. Oh, there we go. That's that around the outside, being able to hold. Oh, contact between them. Preston into the fence. Stenny almost into the wall. That was a bit messy.
Yeah,
we're going to replay. And just seeing as well, Thomas Hinz has just dropped behind Zach Baker and Michael Talyancic as well. So we're going to replay of that because that has happened at the same time.
Yeah, that's a tough one for Corey Preston. Just tried to squeeze Stenberg out just a little bit, and there's a bit of net code involved as well. So you can't really put too much blame on either. Preston perhaps could have left a bit more room, but when it's, you know, racing this hard with just 7 laps to go for a spot on the podium, you've got to expect some tight margins from time to time.
So this is a replay between Baker and Hinz, and almost Umashima as well. Umashima almost got a move done. Not quite able to do so. So Hinz back now into 7th position, of course, with Preston in the pits now with some damage. So this battle is the closest battle on track at the moment as Kazuki Umashima tries to get his spot back into the top 5. Probably not enough laps to get up to Talyancic, but he'll want to try and get past these guys as quick as he can.
Yeah, he certainly will, and he's in a fantastic position right now. He's behind Thomas Hinz, who has the slipstream of Zach Baker, so the double draft for Kazuki Umashima in the Radicals Online Steel Series Commodore. Not going to be close enough unless he's getting ultra brave on the brakes into turn number 10, but on this next lap, it's going to look pretty ominous, and we've seen Kazuki Umashima, the Japanese driving racing style, always so aggressive, always on the limit. So the smart move would be to wait until turn 10 to get the move done, but Kazuki Umashima, first chance he gets, you can bet your dollar that he'll go for it.
I think that's what we've enjoyed watching with him since he's been driving in this series too. We're loving the style that he's brought to the series. Very aggressive, very fair at the same time, so great to watch. We love nice, hard, clean, fair racing. Just the right level of bumping is what we want to see.
Oh, but the right level of sideways.
that was commitment.
A huge moment.
Another wiggle coming out there as well over that curb. I'll tell you what, he's not leaving anything to chance. He's going to try everything he can to get this move done. Commitment level plus 20.
He might be a friend of ours at V8 Online, but I'm not sure he's a friend of Dunlop's because they are getting absolutely tortured. But Thomas Hinz and Zach Baker, they're going to go at it down the straight through this little tiny little right-hand kink that this straight does have, and Thomas Hinz not quite close enough unless he's going to get very brave, under brakes, pulls back in live. He's going to have 5 more cracks at it after this into that chicane. Probably the best overtaking chance of all on this circuit, but he can't afford to get too risky going for that position at number 6 with Umeshima just behind.
Cameron Dance, Brett Loxton, side by side under brakes into the chicane. Dance not quite able to do it, but he's going to try over under. Not able to do it. These guys will fight for another lap. They're seeing Putra, Webster and Jones go at it as well. Oh, Jones. Just when the race couldn't get any worse, he's just had a bit of a lose and looped it around.
Depends on your perspective of things. That could be a lose, or that could just be having a bit of fun, doing some donuts to make the best of what could be a bad night. But I'm sure he won't be thinking that way, and he'll be pretty frustrated with himself for that. But to be fair, losing a front bumper, front hood, no rear wing, he's doing an alright job at the moment.
I agree. He's done a good job to get it back out there and still push on. He's only down 2 spots from where he started, so I guess you take the positives away out of it. He could have been last or second last after that incident early on, so still going, still going to get points, and never know what might happen at the end of this race. We could see a few guys drop out even further than what we've seen already so far this race.
I've actually just seen a massive battle going on between Loxton and Cam Dance. Loxton with a big moment out of turn number 5, and Cam Dance has tried to go around the outside at 6 and has got all kinds of opposite lock going on for him then. So these two are in a great fight, and it continues now as they head on to the next lap.
Yeah, so on board. Sorry, we're just going to say we're on board with Loxton. You can see Dance is making him very, very well known in his mirrors.
Yep, so this is over position number 10. So there is bragging rights involved in this battle. So Cam Dance on one heck of a comeback drive, it must be said. He is live streaming this race if you're interested in seeing the final 4 laps of this race from his perspective. And might be an interesting one to watch, because that Commodore in front of Brett Loxton does look a bit vulnerable if Cam Dance can hook all the sectors up, as Loxton with a moment out of turn 5 again. That is not his favourite corner. If Dance tries to go around the outside, it could be a repeat of the last lap, but learns from his mistakes, stays behind, and will now try a move into turn number 10 if he can get this run out of this corner just right.
And Bateman and Jansen in behind these two. They've closed up nearly a second last lap, half a second already this lap. They'll be there with a couple to go. We've got 3 laps left. This will be a 4-car battle right at the end of this race.
Yeah, that'll be fantastic to see, and I think Cam Dance might know that, because he's beginning to really begin to throw the punches out behind the 23 cars, as he had a bit of a look into turn number 10. Could not make it work, but the 27 car and the 25 are going quite quickly. So Braden Bateman leading the charge with Steve Jansen just behind, and we'll see how their times were on that last lap as they come across the line. Pretty much matching times that time around, but Bateman in clear air now. He is going to have 3 laps to try something.
That battle between Baker, Hinz and Umeshima has settled a little. When I say a little, they're still separated by 3.5 tenths, so still rather close. But not like they were a couple of laps ago. In saying that, they've got some lap traffic. Actually, no, that's Baker who's made a mistake. And Hinz has got a very, very good run down the back straight.
See if the Commodore can do anything against the Falcon into turn number 10, but Hinz not quite getting the draft I'd expect, so perhaps that Pro Force racing car a bit more trimmed out for the corners rather than the straights, and that's working in Zach Baker's advantage, as no progress was really made from Hinz there, surprisingly.
He wasn't quite able to get anything done, but try and get back into a position where he can now with 2 more laps to go. Not much time left. Hinz needs to be careful of Umeshima too. If he goes and actually makes a move or tries to make a move, he could leave the door open for Umeshima to take him, not get the move done and lose a spot. So Hinds has to be rather careful on what to do as Cameron Dance just gets the move done on Brett Loxton, but Loxton's going to come back at him up the hill into turn 2. Not quite.
It's quite a nice move from Dance in the end. Loxton gave it everything he had into turn number 3, locking the brakes and more, but just wasn't able to pull a lot off. So we'll head back to that battle between Zach Baker and Thomas Hinds, because Hinds has got another good run. Baker did hook it up a bit better than he did last time, but Hinds with just a simply perfect run out of that corner. So he's got a good run once again. We'll see if he has any more overspeed, and he does this time as Baker pushes him all the way to the extreme of the tracks and gets a big wiggle under brakes. So no way through just yet. Thomas Hinds is going to have one more crack at it, and Zach Baker looking even more vulnerable as the rear tyre is beginning to fall away on him.
This is the last lap as well, so not much time left for Hinds and Umashima to potentially get a move done. These guys are leaving it all out on the track. Great to see, a great battle.
Yeah, this is fantastic. You can see them through the S's using every inch of track they possibly can and just making the most of it, because Baker knows that he's only going to have 2 more corners to eke out the maximum amount of time he can ahead of Hinds just behind him to make himself safe down that straight, but have to quickly turn our attention to the man who has had no attention on him almost all race as he drifts the final corner, and he's almost looped it. That's a fantastic drift for our race winner, Marlon J. McMullen.
Yeah, I thought he was going to loop it as well, but he did a very, very good job. Riley Blythe ends up coming home in 2nd position. Kurt Stenberg will come home in 3rd. I don't think he'll be too happy with how that 3rd place came about, though, as we go back to the battle. Between Baker and Hinds. Looks like Baker will hold on from Hinds. Or actually at the final corner, not quite able to do it. Baker holds on, but battle between Cameron Dance, Brett Loxton and Braden Bateman. They've got very close as well. Looks like Dance will hold on. Oh, Willie Loxton. Big moment. Bateman might have enough pace to come through. Bit of a push.
Oh, squirrely down the hill for Loxton, but he might just get away with it. Braden Bateman got ever so close, but one more lap and perhaps what could have been for him. But fantastic racing from all of those guys there. That was a fantastic battle all race long.
Yeah, well done to those guys. The last driver to come across the line will be Craig Jones. He won't be overly happy with how that race panned out, but he did finish the race in 17th position. And we will take this opportunity to run through the race results with Marlon McMullen winning by 8 seconds in the end over Riley Blythe. Would have been interesting to see how it would have went without Dane Warren's internet issues between McMullen, Blythe and Warren, but Blythe 2nd, Kurt Stenberg 3rd. Brad Ryan ended up in 4th position with Taliancic finishing 5th. Zach Baker, Thomas Hinds and Kazuki Umashima, they had a fantastic battle for 6th, 7th and 8th. Jamie McKnight had an absolutely boring race. He didn't get any TV time at all. He'll finish in 9th, and Cameron Dance rounds out the top 10.
In P number 11, Brett Loxton almost lost that P11 on that final quarter to Braden Bateman, who comes home just a 10th and a half behind. Steve Jansen comes home a solid P13 with Cooper Webster and Aberfandi Putra in P number 15. Gene Fiddies for Progression Racing Australia, a team on the up. They're going to be in P number 16 with Craig Jones, the last of our drivers on the lead lap, with Sola, Majo, Vlasic and Carroll all finishing a few laps down, with Preston Trim, Dave Oliver, Daniel Williams, Tim Hendrickson and Dane Warren all coming to grief. Around 29 laps around Road Atlanta, which produced some fantastic racing, Jay.
Yeah, it sure did. Always turns it on, Road Atlanta. Always has some really close, tight racing. And this car just seems to suit this circuit every time we come here. So looking forward to seeing next week, though, a track that we haven't been to in the V8 Supercar for, I'm thinking, 2.5 years. We head to Silverstone to the national circuit. This is true speedway style stuff at Silverstone. 33 laps. The race will not take too long at all. It's around about a 50-odd second lap, so around about a half-hour race or so. Should be very, very entertaining. I'm really looking forward to seeing how that one plays out.
Yeah, it's going to be a really interesting one. We see how close these lap times are week in, week out in these V8 supercars. Such a small track, it's sure to turn it on in both the qualifying session and the race, and we look forward to that on Monday. Next up for V8 Online on Wednesday night is going to be the Oceanic Sprint Championship at the fantastic Homestead Miami Road Course. And then, of course, the Cut Price Racing Mazda MX-5 Challenge on Thursday nights, as always. But from us here at V8 Online, on behalf of myself and Jay, thanks for watching, and see you next time.